Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second virtual wellness conference. I'm Dorian Pierce. I'm the owner of D. Pierce Productions and the producer of the virtual wellness conference. Today, we're here inside of the super awesome, wonderful Studio Dreamshare hosting our virtual wellness conference. So big shout out to Cameron for allowing us to use the space. And now, just before I get to some housekeeping for the event and giving some more information, I'm just going to introduce my dad, Trevor, and then Joan and Holly.
Kwayani, Squamindo Tongue Indijnakas, Pemberton Makwandadotum. Hello, my name is Trevor. I'm from the Bonashare Algonquin First Nations, and I'd like to do the land acknowledgement for the Anishinaabe Algonquin people of this territory. We acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe. We acknowledge that the Indigenous peoples, particularly the Algonquins, have been steward of this land since time immemorial. As such, we treat the land, its water, its plants, its animals, its stories, and its people with honor and respect. Today, this land is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we acknowledge the shared opportunity to live and work within this beautiful territory. The recognition of the contributions and the historic importance of the Indigenous peoples must also be clearly and overtly connected to our collective commitment to make the promise and the challenge of truth and reconciliation real in all our communities. Chi Miigwech, all my relations. And I'll be welcoming Joan and Holly, two good friends of mine, two spirited Anishinaabe women, Métis and Mohawk from the area. Miigwech.
Miigwech, thank you for having us.
Miigwech.
Waboshka Kagagi, also known as Joan or Joan or Joe. I'm of Algonquin, Mohawk, European descent, and I'm proud to be here helping out for the virtual wellness conference. And I'll pass it off to Holly.
Kwayani Bozu, Holly Nadinjakas, Eganville Nadinjaba. I'm a very proud Métis grass dancer here, and I'm here with Joan, Trevor, Dorian. Can't remember the other names. I apologize. I'm very honored to be here. Miigwech.
We're going to do an opening song. We're going to do the flag song. For anybody that knows it, you can sing along.
We
healing song?
Yeah, we'll do the healing song. It's called Wawate. Kimi no wayan no nagipaya ku gawin ako sa tree gawin na weskes bakit ni mo Waya heya hey Waya heya heyo Waya heya heya Waya heya heyo Kimi no wayan no nagipaya ku Gawin ako sa tree Gawin na weskes bakit ni mo Waya heya hey Waya heya heyo Waya heya heya Waya heya heyo Kimi no wayan mo nagipaya ku Gawin ako sa tree Gawin na weskes bakit ni mo Waya heya hey Waya heya heyo Waya heya heya Waya heya heyo Kimi no wayan mo nagipaya ku Gawin ako sa tree Gawin na weskes bakit ni mo Waya heya hey Waya heya heyo Waya heya heya Waya heya heyo
Big witch.
Big Witch.
And we turn it over to Dorian again.
Dorian.
So, just one thing just before you go, I just wanted to thank both of you for coming and doing this. And so, in just a few minutes, we're going to move on at 10 o'clock to meditation with Kyla Kraft Romaine. So we'll be back in just a few minutes for that. And then we just have one add-in. You won't see it on any of your schedules, but Bailey Parnell from Safe Social will be speaking at 10:30 till 11. And other than that, that looks like all of the changes that there is for today. So again, in just a few minutes, we'll be back with meditation, and then at 10:30, Bailey Parnell will be speaking. See you then.
Good morning. My name is Kyla, and I've been asked to come and do the morning meditation. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to walk you through a meditation. We're going to do a few breathing exercises. I'm going to walk you through a progressive relaxation just to get your body nice and relaxed. And then I'm going to take you on a little bit of a visualization journey. So bear with me. One of the things you may find while you're doing meditation is that your mind begins to wander. So just know that that is a normal process of meditation. What I'd like you to do is just try to bring your thoughts back to your breath and letting any external thoughts about anything that's coming to your mind go. So when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. I want you to move your head and neck around a little bit and just get yourself into a nice, comfy position. Good. And when you're ready, I want you to start by taking a deep breath in through the nose, stomach expanding, and slowly breathing out through your mouth. Good. And with every breath you take, just letting yourself become more and more relaxed. Just giving yourself permission to let go. And taking another deep breath in, holding it. 1, 2, 3, and breathing out. 1, 2, 3. Another deep breath in, breathing in some positive energy, and breathing out any negativity or darkness. And just take a moment and continue breathing. How does it feel when you take those breaths? How does it feel as your lungs expand? How does it feel as you let everything go? How does it feel as your body begins to relax? Good. Now, one of the things I'm going to invite you to do is to picture in your mind a place that you feel completely comfortable in. That place might be a beach, it could be a forest, it could be on top of a mountain. But wherever that place is for you is perfect. And I want you to see yourself sitting with your back leaning against a rock or a tree. And I want you to take a moment and focus your attention on the top of the head, your scalp. And I just want you to feel all the muscles release and relax. And allow that relaxation to spread down to the forehead. Down into the eyes. Into the nose. To your cheeks. Your lips. And your chin. Just feel that relaxation as it spreads down to your neck, the front part of your neck and the back part of your neck. Just letting all that tension release and relax. Now just feel that relaxation as it spreads down from the neck down into your shoulders. This is the place you hold all your shoulds. I should be doing this and I should be doing that. Just letting all of that melt away now. And just feel that relaxation as it spreads from the shoulders all the way down both your arms, feeling all the muscles go loose and limp like a wet washcloth. Loose and limp. Now feel that relaxation as it spreads all the way down both arms, all the way into your hands, and into each and every finger. Now just bring your attention back to the top of your shoulders and just feel that relaxation as it spreads down your upper back, releasing all the tension that's in that area and letting it go now. And just feel that relaxation as it spreads around to your chest. Down into the stomach. Around into the lower back. And noticing any tension that might be in this area and letting it go now. Now letting that relaxation go down into the hips. And see it spread all the way down both your legs until all the muscles are loose and limp like a wet washcloth. Loose and limp. Down into your feet. And into each and every toe. Notice how relaxed you feel. You might notice tingling at this point. You might just notice a big, heavy deepness, heaviness in your body. In your mind's eye, you notice and see a bright white light coming down from the heaven, and it hits you on the top of your head, your crown chakra, and you'll notice as it hits you on the top of your head, it travels down your neck, down your spine, and back down into Mother Earth, grounding you, connecting you, allowing you to be one with the earth. Now you'll notice that bright white light as it begins to expand. And it begins to expand until every cell and organ in your body is bathed in bright white light. It's a beautiful healing energy that heals all. So take a moment and look for any dark spots that might be in your body, or any places that just need some extra healing, and send the white light there now. Now feel that white light as it begins to expand even further. And it begins to expand until you are surrounded in a bubble of pure white light. This is your bubble of protection. It protects you from any lower or negative energies. And know that you can create this light at any time and anywhere that you choose. Now in your mind's eye, see yourself sitting with your back leaning against a rock or a tree. And you'll notice that the sun is just beginning to come up on this beautiful, warm day. Notice the beautiful colors as the sun rises. Hear the birds as they begin to chirp in the early morning hours. You'll notice that there's a pond over to the right. You can hear the water flowing on this early morning. You feel the mist coming off the little pond. And you notice how quiet and peaceful this place is. The hustle and the bustle and the chaos of the day has just disappeared on this beautiful early morning day. There's quiet. You might feel the breeze of the wind blowing. See the birds flying overhead. Take a moment to notice any wildlife that might be around. Any wild flowers? What kind of trees? Are there mountains where you are? This place that has been created just for you is perfect for this journey. When you're ready, I want you to see yourself getting up from your peaceful, comfortable spot on this early morning, and you begin to walk along a path. See yourself as you're walking. Notice how it feels to walk along that path. Notice how peaceful you feel. You'll notice that the path is beginning to twist and turn. And you hear the faint sound of what sounds like water. And as you continue walking, you begin to realize that it sounds like waves rolling in. As you get closer and closer and closer to your destination, the path gets narrower and narrower. It's turning into sand, your path, and you're now on a beach. And the ocean is right ahead of you. How does it feel, the sand on your toes? The sun shining? Mornings are great for contemplation, for thinking, for making decisions, for moving forward. So I want you to find a perfect spot on this beach, just for you. And when you're ready, I invite you to sit down. Dig your feet nice and deep into the sand. Grab a rock that might be sitting on the beach beside you and hold it. And I'm going to leave you for a few minutes to contemplate, to think, to allow Spirit to come through, to take you on your journey, wherever you need to go. Maybe you're thinking about the next step in your life, the next path. Maybe you have some decisions you're trying to make. Maybe you're thinking about your health and just needing some energy, some relaxation. Maybe you're wanting some messages from loved ones that have crossed over, or just knowing that people are okay. Whatever you need to do at this time is perfect for you. So I leave you for a few minutes to go where you need to go and do what you need to do. Enjoy. Good. Now with that last breath, taking it in and out, taking any messages, any insights, any changes, anything that have come up, and taking them and placing them to your heart. Knowing that the start of your morning has allowed you to start your journey for the day. And I want you to just take a moment and send any positive energy, send some healing energy to any place on the earth or people on the earth that need healing at this time. So just take a moment and do that now. Good. Now, see yourself slowly drifting back to one. You're aware of yourself sitting or laying. 2, your hands and feet are beginning to move. And 3, eyes open, wide awake, feeling wonderful in any way. I invite you to grab a piece of paper and pen and journal any thoughts, any words, anything that comes up at this time, and just journal them and allow yourself to move forward on this beautiful day. Namaste.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual wellness conference. I can't wait to introduce to you all our next presenter. We just added her in a few days ago, so it's not appearing on anyone's schedules. But our next presenter is Bailey Parnell from Safe Social. She is the founder and CEO of Skills Camp, a soft skills training company, and was named one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women. Bailey is a TEDx speaker with over 2 million views, an award-winning digital marketer, a businesswoman with a talent for helping people develop the skills they need for success. Her work and expertise has been featured in Forbes, CBC, Fox, Flair magazine, and more. Bailey did her Master's in Communications and Culture at Ryerson University, with research looking into social media's impact on mental health, the results which she presented at the World Youth Forum in Egypt, and turned her signature 5 steps towards Safe Social. So I'm happy to, once I see her on the screen here, welcome Bailey to our virtual wellness conference. How's everything going?
Very good. I'm glad to be here, Miguel, this morning.
Awesome. So I'll just go ahead and just pass it right over to Bailey.
Cool. I'm going to share my screen and change it up a little from the vibe we just came from. Hopefully we're feeling calm and then bring it up a little. Okay, my friends. We are going to go, Dorian's going to put us in a side-by-side mode so that you can see my slides. There we go. How cool is that? I love that. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wait, I thought I would be invited to the wedding. I thought we were closer than that. Wait, when was that? I know we're smaller because of COVID, but I really thought we were closer than that. Okay. Happy birthday. Wait, did she just post that? Is her birthday today? Or like, did they go out last night? Was I invited? Okay, I should post for her birthday because if I want her to post for me, then I definitely need to post for her. Okay, 300 likes. Does she really need that many likes? Okay, you know what? Who cares? I'm just going to like it. I don't want there to be any drama. Welcome to the internal monologue of a typical social media scroll. A monologue that so many of us are going through daily, but we don't talk about it. In fact, many of us can't even recognize it happening. As was said, my name is Bailey Parnell, and in this quick 30 minutes, we are going to talk about social media's impact on mental health. Believe it or not, we are actually going to cover 3 stressors, 6 risks, and my 5 steps forward towards Safe Social. A little bit about me first is that I actually started my career in broadcast journalism, and I did work for all of the Much Music, the entertainment, the CBC, the news sides, and I did on air. And then I went over and did social marketing because I liked that form of storytelling better. And I worked in social marketing, both in the TV space, places like Much Music, E!, and in education at Ryerson University. And at one point I had to ask myself, okay, you're good at storytelling, you like these tools of social media, what kind of story do you want to tell? And as much as I enjoy them, I did not think that my skills were best used convincing you to watch more Kardashians on E! So I went and I used my social marketing skills at Ryerson University, which led me both to the Safe Social work I do today, as well as my main business, which is called Skills Camp, a soft skills training company where we work with a ton of organizations and higher ed institutions on building skills like self-awareness, resilience, stress management, so on and so forth. The other half of my life, as you probably guessed, and my research is about social media's impact on mental health, which was recently launched into its own organization called #SafeSocial. Now that you know a little bit about my present, let me take you a little bit into my past. About 7 years ago, my sister and I took a no-work vacation, 4 days to Jasper, Alberta. At the time, this was the first no-work vacation I had taken in probably over 4 years at that point. So on this vacation, I was going dark. I was turning on airplane mode. I was turning off social media, no email, no notifications. Now, the first day I was there, I was still experiencing phantom vibration syndrome. That's where you think your phone went off and you check and it didn't. It was going off repeatedly. I was checking repeatedly. I was distracted in conversation. I was seeing these gorgeous sights that Jasper had to offer, and my first reaction was to take out my phone and post it on social media, but it wasn't there. I had to use an actual camera. It wasn't until the fourth day I was there, literally on the side of this mountain, where I was finally become comfortable without my phone. I started thinking to myself, at this point, I work in social media. I study social media, and I'm a native user of social media. What is this doing to me? If it's doing this to me, someone who should theoretically know about this, what on earth is it doing to everybody else? And that's kind of what led me to my research. You won't be surprised to know these days that I immediately found I wasn't alone. The top 3 diagnoses on uni campuses are anxiety, depression, and stress. And numerous articles were coming out at the time that social media causes anxiety, social media leads to depression. We know for sure that 94% of 18 to 29-year-olds in Canada use social media. We know that they're self-reporting 4 to 6 hours a day spent on social media. I know this because this was my own research at Ryerson University with a very large 1,000+ sample size. Now, if you ever researched anything that's kind of stigmatized, that's that people don't want to report, maybe a little bit taboo, then you know as a researcher that you can't report this, that people typically underreport the truth. So if I said, like, how many hours a week do you watch reality television? And you told me 3, if I followed you around, it would probably be 5. So though you can't put this in a journal, if they're self-reporting 6 hours a day, it's probably 8 to 9. I don't do anything for 8 to 9 hours a day. I don't sleep. I don't commute pre-pandemic. I don't breathe. I don't even know. I don't eat. Maybe I breathe. Although sometimes I forget to do that and have to remind myself. So thank goodness we had that meditation before I went. Now, if I don't do anything we do actually for that long, anything we do deserves critical understanding. Anything we do that long has a lasting impact on us. So the question becomes, what is happening in that time? The first thing we need to understand are highlight reels. Highlight reels are a collection of the best and brightest moments. When we look good, when we're out with friends and family, when we want to post that really cool new dinner we just made, even though most of our dinners are just probably not looking that plated well. The thing is with highlight reels is that we struggle with insecurity because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. Here we are having our mac and cheese and oh my gosh, they seem to cook every night and it looks so healthy. And what am I doing? Because obviously when I go to Paris, this is exactly the first thing I do when I get there. I go on the balcony and I do a back bend. Of course we have highlight reels and of course not all of us are living right like that, but the comparison still stays with us. The second stressor we need to understand is social currency. Just like a euro or a dollar, a currency is literally something that we use to attribute value to a good or service. Now in social media, these likes, the comments, the shares, they've become this form of social currency by which we attribute value to something. Except the problem with our personal social media is that we are the product. The thing is, in marketing, we actually love this. Every single thing you do, whether it's even spending a few seconds longer, even half seconds longer on a post, if you privately send a photo to your friends in a DM, that it becomes a recorded transaction attributing value. And in marketing, we call this the economy of attention. But like I said, the problem with our personal social media is that in our social media, we are the product and we're letting others attribute value to us. You know someone or you are someone that's taken down a photo because it didn't get as many likes as you thought it would. And I've been there too. And it's almost like we took our product off the shelf because it wasn't selling fast enough. Of course, this stays with us. Of course, this affects our self-esteem. The third stressor you need to understand about social media is harassment. Harassment is probably more common than you think it is, even if you've not been harassed yourself online. Well, I'm very happy for you, honestly. 40% of online adults have experienced online harassment. About 73% have witnessed it, which can cause similar effects just witnessing it. And 100% of the time, it is worse if you are a woman, LGBTQ, Muslim, person of color. I think you get the point. In fact, if I'm in a classroom, I can put it up. If you have a daughter, if you're a woman on social media, period, I can almost probably put it up at 95% likelihood that you will be harassed at some point. Whether it is kind of more, I guess you want to say light, like getting an unwanted photo or message, or severe, very severe as to complete online cyberstalking, which I've had students completely talk to me about. It is more common. The thing is, in the news, unfortunately, we see these big stories. We see stories like Mallory Grossman, who was 12 years old and took her life because she was being cyberbullied online. We see women like Anita Sarkeesian, who was sent death and rape threats and doxxed for sharing her ideas about feminism in video games. And sure, some people have ideas they disagree with. There's no problem with that. But creating a video game that repeatedly punches her in the face and makes her bloody, I think we can agree that's too far. The thing is, in the news, we see these big stories, but what we don't see are these everyday instances of online harassment, like that, oh my gosh, ugly photo we sent our friend with the intention that it would be private, and then they screenshot it and put it on their Instagram stories for everyone to see. That is actually called outing, which is a defined form of online harassment. It's these everyday instances that we need to pay attention to. So the question is, does this affect us? The real question should be, how could this not affect you? We just need to explore how it's affecting us. Because these micro moments over time, they become a macro problem. Sure, it's just one photo they share. Sure, it's just one comment. But then when you're spending 8 to 9 hours a day in this world, of course, these micro moments over time become that macro problem. And that's when we start to see a decline in mental health. So how can this affect you? What are the risks of using? Well, one, we are distracted and we are losing productivity. That was one of the biggest things to come up in my research. A frustration with just feeling like, oh my God, I just opened Instagram and I wasn't even paying attention. Like I just was there. And feeling like I want to focus on this work that I have to do or the school project I have to do, but I cannot focus. Some of you have already noticed the notifications at the top of my slides. Some of you, probably many of you, like me, are bothered that they are not checked because that red notification needs to disappear. So let me help you. I will check it. Collectively, let's all take a sigh of relief. Sometimes it's not a huge reaction. Sometimes it's just that this phone is going off the handle and I see the red notifications and I need to check. And that need, when that grows, we need to pay attention to that. That'll come up soon. 2, we are sedentary. This means that if we're on social media, for the most part, we're usually sitting and not doing other things we know for sure lead to better mental health. So for example, I'm probably not exercising. I'm probably not out in nature. I'm probably not having face-to-face conversations with people, which maybe unfortunately in a pandemic, the research supports that that virtual connection has not replaced in-person connection for what it does to oxytocin, happiness levels, life satisfaction, all this stuff, unfortunately. So this is called displacement theory, that when we are sedentary with our social media, we're not doing things that we know for sure, that we know in history for sure lead to better mental health. 3, we are lonely. Unfortunately, we are supposed to be more connected than we've ever been. Look at us here today. It's pretty cool. But unfortunately, people are reporting higher levels of loneliness than they've ever reported. That's, of course, also accentuated right now during the pandemic. Now, 4, when you start putting these together, again, those micro moments for 8 to 9 hours a day, even 4 to 6, even 1 hour a day, that's when we start to see the rising levels of anxiety and depression. That's when we start to see a problem. So, with the anxiety and depression, I want to tell you something a little bit later about what I actually learned in my research about what makes it a tough situation. So 5th risk is FOMO. We're covering a lot in this 30. FOMO, or the fear of missing out. It's a kind of a casual phrase. We all throw it around. But the FOMO is an actual social anxiety that comes from a fear of missing a potential connection, event, or opportunity. Sometimes it presents in, wow, I'm not at that event. Or I've literally had students tell me that they just went to an event because they knew photos would be taken and they wanted to be in them, not because they actually wanted to be at the event. Or FOMO can go off like this, where this mobile phone is going off the handle and wait a sec, holy moly, 68 messages, what am I missing? I must be missing something. I need to be caught up. FOMO plays like that too. Interestingly, maybe not surprisingly, FOMO has also been shown to be the biggest predictor of addiction to social media. So maybe not surprisingly, what that means is the degree to which you feel that need to check and stay up to date, that the degree to which you feel that will also correlate with the degree to which you are addicted to social media. Not surprising when you have that kind of always on habitual addiction, if you will. Which actually leads me, so if I wanted to actually tell you about this first, if we were in a classroom and I was able to ask you live and interact, I ask people, have you considered deactivating your social? Now I've done this with hundreds of people, so you can trust my anecdote. When I ask, have you considered deactivating social? Probably 95, maybe even 98% of the room puts up their hand. So likelihood is that of you watching, most of you have considered deactivating. Then when I ask a classroom, did you actually deactivate? Lots of hands go down, and maybe about 25% have deactivated at some point. Then I ask them, did you stay deactivated? And I can say that I've been in classrooms where absolutely 0 people stayed deactivated. And I've also, so like maybe 5%, not even, maybe like 1% of the classroom has stayed deactivated. When I ask about why they came back on, why they deactivated in the first place, you start to get a lot of the reasons that we talked about already. I deactivated because I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. I was not working on the things I need to work on. I was feeling bad about myself. Why'd you come back on? Because I wasn't able, people were talking about things I didn't know about. I felt like I wasn't part of something. My teacher made me join a class group on Facebook. So we came on for all these reasons. Now, I wanted to tell you that most people are on, and that FOMO is the biggest predictor of addiction, because maybe one of the greatest risks is addiction to social media, which is number 6. And what's even more interesting to me is that this addiction is now both psychological, physiological, and physical, a physical habitual addiction. So physiologically, we're releasing dopamine every time we get a like, which is a positive chemical that makes you feel good. We're releasing dopamine, and so we are conditioning our brain to actually think that this is what we should do to feel good. Of course, then we're creating, again, conditioning in the brain that makes you come back to it over and over again. What's even more interesting, I think, is this more habitual and physical addiction. That's where I told you about my participants, and maybe even you watching, where you just are checking and you're like, wow, I literally just opened Instagram and I don't remember why I came here. It was habitual, that check, that idea that I cannot even be in a line. I must be on my phone in a line, because if I'm not on my phone, obviously that means I have no friends. People are going to look at me weird. Now, if you ask why this is interesting to me, is if you ask someone who's tried to quit smoking what the hardest part of it was, often they will say the habit was the hardest to break. Now, because we only have 30 minutes, I want you to know that I did launch this into its own organization at safesocialmedia.co, which I'll share in the chat after. Now, on the resources page and throughout, I actually created an assessment called Are You Addicted to Social Media? Now, this is not a BuzzFeed style, what kind of cheese are you assessment? It's actually informed by other risky behaviors. So our reactions and how addictions present to other risky behaviors like alcohol or drugs applied to the world of social media. So it'll give you some idea of what might be addictive practices. So I really strongly encourage you to go take that assessment and check out the rest of safesocialmedia.co, or I wouldn't even be doing this. So trust me, it's a helpful plug. Now, we've just covered 6 risks of using social media. You can become distracted and you can lose your productivity. You can become sedentary, and that could displace things we know lead to better mental health. Loneliness, anxiety and depression, FOMO, and maybe even addiction. These are just 6 risks. There's many more, like stress, seeing traumatic imagery, overwhelm, and the list goes on. Harassment. These are very real risks of using social media, which means then by every measure, social media is a risky behavior like sex or drugs or alcohol. In psychology, we judge a risky behavior as something where when you participate, you expose yourself to potential harm. That's it. Like we just said, we know for sure now that social media exposes you to potential harm, making it a risky behavior, and should be in the same conversation as those other risky behaviors. Now, the difference in difficulty with this risky behavior, especially for any young people watching, like 25 and under for the most part, because the brains are not fully developed yet, is that you're at a time of life between roughly around 11 to 25-ish, maybe even higher now, where it's very normal to go outside the home to compare yourself as a means of understanding your identity. This is actually a very normal part of social psychological development. So you're at this point in your life, normal to compare yourself, and now you have a comparison metric that is always on, personally tied to you, and quantified for everyone to see. That's tough. Though they don't want to hear it, if you're 25 and under, your brain is also quite literally not fully grown. Now, that should be seen as an opportunity, I hope, to fill it with good stuff, but that means that you're more at risk under 25 for conditioning your brain to things you also might not want. And then finally, if you are struggling as a young person right now on social media, who do you normally go to? Maybe you'd go to caregivers, parents, maybe you go to therapists, maybe you go to guidance counselors. And we're just at this weird phase of history right now where largely parents and educators didn't grow up with social media themselves. So sometimes they want to say things like, get your head out of your phone, but they don't actually understand that the kids' brains were conditioned differently, literally by the chemicals released in their brain, associating certain actions with what is good and bad. So I have to spend some time in my parent workshops delving up a little bit of empathy, actually. Now, even after I've said all of that, I actually love social media. I do. And I don't think it's going anywhere. So I think that if abstinence without consequence is less of an option for people today, then the question becomes, how can you practice safe social? If abstinence is not an option, how do you practice safe social? Now, that is where my work actually, where I want to spend more time, not today, because I still have to educate about the risks, but I think that when it first came out, social media was neither good nor bad. It was just the most recent tool we were using to do what we always did, communicate with each other, tell stories. And then something else happened. When we talk about this dark side of social media, what I really feel we're talking about is the dark side of people. That dark side that makes harassers harass, that dark side that makes you look at a picture of a happy family and wonder why mine doesn't look like that. That dark side that makes people at these companies decide that your well-being is less important than advertising dollars. That dark side is what we actually need to focus on, really. When you start to focus on that dark side of people, you really realize that the treatment is quite similar to that of other risky behaviors. So these are my 5 steps towards safe social, much deeper on the website. My 5 steps towards safe social. 1, we need to build awareness and understanding. That's why I'm so glad to do this on a Saturday morning with you all. We need to make sure that we're speaking the same language. I also have a TED Talk out there about this topic that I really hope you will share, because that is the whole point, to get that message out there. 2, we have to modify our consumption. Once we understand the language and what's going on and what the potential risks are to us, what we can do, then we move to step 2, which is, okay, what can we do? We modify our consumption. We ask ourselves questions that we might ask ourselves with other risky behaviors. For example, am I doing this because I need it, or am I doing this because I want it? Do I like this, or am I just here because it's normal and everybody's doing it? Do you consume things that you genuinely enjoy or find valuable in your media diet? Do you see a post and think like, I laughed, or I was inspired, or I'm so glad to see you're doing well, or are you having completely negative reactions? These are questions you might ask yourself with something like alcohol as well. When you ask yourself these questions, you suddenly find yourself that you're not peer pressured. Were you peer pressured into this? Or I can tell you 100% of my participants said they joined because their friends were on. So they were 14 and didn't really have that thought about what this is going to do to me yet. It was just because my friends were here. And if I said the same thing about drinking, we might have a different kind of thought. You're never made to feel uncomfortable for abstaining when you think about this like other risky behaviors. Nobody says, you're not on Instagram? Oh my gosh, there might be other reasons why they're not on Instagram. Suddenly, it does not consume your life, and it doesn't harm your relationships. When you ask yourself questions like this, does it harm my relationships? You do not overdose, because you start to question your use, and you start to Think about, what are the things that I want to be doing? And finally, if you ask yourself these questions, you start to consume a little bit more responsibly and safely so that you start to get the benefits of social media, like being here, maybe like connecting what if we do afterwards, hopefully the good sides of social with less of those risks. There are a lot of tools, though I have whole posts on this, that you can use to help you with moderating your consumption. One of the things I recommend that's easy to do is mindful scrolling. Just start with 5 posts. Just simply 5 posts and ask yourself, do I actually like this photo? Do I actually know the poster? Do I care if I know them or not? Are they inspiring me? Did I read the caption? Did I just like this even though I don't actually like it? That's mindful scrolling. Just do it for 5. Apple screen time, privacy and security settings. At least these start to give you a sense of how much you're using so you can start thinking about it more critically and making it a little bit safer for you. Dedicated offline time, digital detoxes, very important to get. Even if you love social media and you're watching, I still recommend that you take a detox, because you will realize in that detox where you kind of cut it dry even for a weekend, what you do miss and what you don't miss. And you can start actually designing your feeds a little bit better. And make sure that we are always prioritizing the offline. I can't say this enough because of step 3, where we build the offline soft skills. This is the most important skill, because when I went into my research, I actually thought I would find a more explicit correlation between time on social media and the rising levels of anxiety and depression. What I actually found was no consistency in the research. Some people said, yes, there's an issue. Some people said, no, we can't report, nothing relevant here. Some people reported the exact opposite. A whole section of my thesis is people saying that social media use improved the mental health of their participants. But what's always consistent was that when there was a mediator introduced, such as I feel lonely more on social in the time that I'm there, or I compare myself more, or I feel envy more, then it was always a bad situation. How do you combat that? That means that who you are offline is the most important thing for safe social media use. That means skills like self-awareness. Do I even know what stresses me out? Have I even thought about this critically? All so that I know how to design my feed to be less stressful. Have I worked on my own self-confidence, resilience, time management, so that I never find myself an hour later not remembering what I did? Mindfulness, so that again, I never find myself an hour later not remembering what I did. These are the soft skills, and this I absolutely think is the most important thing. Step 4, we need to model good behavior. I love this one. What I don't like to see really is sometimes I talk to parents and I say, they're like, oh my gosh, kids can't get their head out of their phones these days. And I say, well, are you on your phone at dinner, on email? It might be something else, but is it at least possible that they may have learned this behavior from you? Have you been documenting their entire life on social media and then you're surprised when they want to document the concert on their phone? Is it possible they learned the behavior from you? Or my favorite or least favorite is when people are spreading hate and kind of nasty, mean things on social media, but also complaining that it's a toxic place. Is it at least possible that you are contributing to this and that young people are watching, because they are right now, how you behave in this place? Not only what you post and what's okay to say in this space, but also how you move with your devices, how you treat people. They are watching. So we need to model good behavior too. And are you a good, safe social role model is another assessment on the website. Finally, number 5, we have to hold responsible parties accountable. Sometimes, this is just like any other risky behavior, this is a multi-pronged approach. So we can all do a little bit more. Can governments do more? Yes, they can. Can social media companies do more? Yes, they can. Can educational institutions do more? Yes, they can. Parents, we need to learn what's going on, media, and eventually us, we have to stop blaming others for our addiction and do something about it. So is social media hurting your mental health? The answer is actually that it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. That's what I've seen. It can be a place that tears you down, that makes you feel less than, stresses you out. Or it can be a place that lifts you up, where you start to get inspiration and motivation and you connect with people you're genuinely curious about or you genuinely miss. And you go on your feed and you leave feeling like I was entertained and I do feel better. It doesn't have to, but only if you practice safe social. Thank you for listening to me. That is the website, safesocialmedia.co. I'm going to stop my share and come back to you as a full camera right in front of you. And you can see my my hair is very red today, but it is red.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for agreeing to join in like so late. We had this small little 30-minute gap we needed to fill, so thank you so much for agreeing to fill that spot.
Whether it's 2 people or 2,000, 20,000 people, I'm happy to get this message out there.
Awesome. And this video, at some point we're going to cut all of the parts of the conference up and post them as separate videos. So we'll make sure to post just your talk as well.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to take a really quick 2 or 3 minute break, and then we'll be back with Kathy and John Fannenhauer. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to introduce our next guest. It is John Fannenhauer. Kathy is sick at the moment, so her husband, John, is going to be doing the presentation. So if I can just see John on the screen here. Hi, how are you?
I am very well. Good morning.
How's BC?
Well, BC is earlier. It's only 8 o'clock here, so that's one. No, that's fantastic. I'll look forward to sharing just a bit more here in the presentation about how that is affected us, etc. But no, really good to meet you, Dorian. Good to see you. And good to be a part of this wellness retreat weekend.
Awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass it right over to John.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Welcome. And for those of you who may not know me, my name is John Fannenhauer. And my wife, Kathy, and I have been learning quite a bit about culture lately. And Dorian has asked us to speak today about reclaiming culture. And really, a lot of questions roll into my mind when someone comes to me and says, "Hi, John, how do I reclaim my culture? What do I do?" And I hear that quite often when people come. Maybe it's not culture that you're looking for. Maybe it's, maybe it's a new car. How do I do that is a typical statement that I hear many, many people make. How do I do that? You know, when it comes to reclaiming culture, what I want to talk to you today about is not what you're reclaiming or not why you're reclaiming, but I want to speak today about how. I want to talk to you a little bit about how we reclaim culture. And what happens in us is the utmost of importance when it comes to reclaiming. Take that very word to start with, reclaim. If you're going to reclaim something, I think about the idea of getting back. So if something was confiscated from me, let's just say that I went to a concert and brought my camera because I want to take some video. And as I was going in, the security guard at the front confiscated my camera and he put it over there. And then after the concert, I come back and I would reclaim it. Maybe it's stolen. Maybe someone stole your car, right? And the police call and they need you to come back and reclaim, to get back what is rightfully yours. If you're going to reclaim culture, let's ask this question: is it yours? Cultural appropriation is probably one of the most dangerous side consequences that can happen when people venture into this idea of reclaiming culture. I want to begin with the question, who am I really? Well, my name is John and I'm a man. And I was born in Pembroke and I'm 50 years old. I'm 50 years old in 2 days. 15th was my 50th birthday. Had a great time here in BC. Who am I is my identity. My identity, not what I think you think that I am, but who am I is the question that I need to first ask myself before I go out reclaiming things. I did a little research and discovery about my past, but I guess in context here, thinking about Kathy and I together, it was back in 2016 that Kathy was able to find her mom and dad. There's Kathy and her biological parents, Colleen and Stash. And many of you that know us know that Kathy discovered that she is Ojibwe and that she was born to Colleen and Stash, 1971, and that she was taken. She was taken from Colleen and Stash. Not appropriately, not effectively, not healthy. And so now comes the question of how does Kathy reclaim? Well, here's something else that Kathy and I want to use a metaphor for you today. I want to use a metaphor that helps you understand what I'm trying to say. I like metaphors. And for instance, if you were to look at something and it was only black and white, I've gone to art galleries and you go in and there's a picture and it's got just all white and just all black, you know, and they put patterns on it and it like stairs that look like they're going up, but they're really going down, and all those circles that look like they're moving and they don't. Black and white can be perceived from our unique perspectives in different ways, and that's what black and white shows. And actually, you can stare at black and white and then look away, and the image is literally imprinted on your retina for a little bit or something. Don't know the science behind it, but it happens to me, and I know it happens to you, black and white. But what's really interesting is when you add another element into that, that's called mixture. You get monochrome. Monochrome or grayscale. I mean, a lot of printers do it. I mean, you know, it's a t-shirt. It's only in 2 colors. Basically, it's monochrome. Whitewater region. See that, guys? Ottawa Valley proud, even though we're out here in BC. So when you add monochrome, now you're going to another level. You're getting into, rather than 2-dimensional, it's 3. It's 3-dimensional, right? But you know what happens when you go into color? You know, color adds those primary colors. It's not just black and white and their array of mixture, but now what we're adding is black and white and the primary colors and their multiplicity of interaction to the beauty of exquisite color. I had the privilege of sitting out, go on Kathy's Facebook and see the sunrise that I videotaped in what do you call it, slow. In other words, it's a 2-hour process you can watch in 26 seconds. And it's just beautiful to watch. The colors begin naturally array, rainbows that we've seen, deflections of color between the mountains, and then Kathy and I have seen rainbows between them and perspective. And you see, that's when we start to understand experience. Who am I? I'm not black and white, nor am I grayscale. I'm color. And I have lots of intricate things that make me. When I think about culture, I can think about language. I can think about festivals. I can think about where I left my glasses. Because I can't read my page. I gotta find a pair of glasses. Just bear with me a second. I had them right in my hand. Oh, there they are. These are Kathy's, so they're purple, but you'll like them. When I think of culture, and we compare that to color, you know, there's 5 things that I speak of: monochrome, color, and then you get to three-dimensional, but then I had the opportunity to go to virtual reality. Anyone out there ever put on a virtual reality headset? And I stepped into that. I had that experience one time when my daughter came home and she brought with her partner, and I was able to put on these headsets, the virtual reality goggles that go around, and in my very living room, I was able to then uh, arrive somehow in a very real experiential way in a building and in a tower and up on a platform. And before you know it, I am literally afraid, scared, unbalanced, and falling over because of perception in my friggin' living room. Virtual reality. And then, guys, you know it's a lot different. I can tell you about BC. I can tell you about the prairies, and I can tell you about, experiences that I've been along into. But until you yourself journey that journey, until you touch that thing and taste that taste and hear that sound and see that thing, and whenever you emulse and imbue those beautiful colors in your own personal reflective way in your retina, that experience is very, very different. And that develops who you are. You see, who you are is from not just your physical self, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And so when I look at you and you want to ask me about reclaiming, and I say, who are you? I'm going to talk about that. Colors and multiplicity of things that intersect that make you you. And you've discovered that something's missing, just like Kathy did. And you want to reclaim it. Well, first and foremost, it's rightfully yours, right? So you don't need to be afraid and scared and timid. And so something else that we did here in BC is Kathy and I, when we were both younger, we loved to ride bikes. And I had my bike on the farm, and I have scars to prove it. And Kathy had her bike, and she has scars to prove it too, and a broken wrist that she had from that too. We both were people that loved to ride our bikes. And then we came to BC, and well, if you knew us, you knew that we got into spin class, and we actually own a spin bike. It's in Trevor's basement, and I don't have it here in BC. So what did Kathy and I do? We thought about, in planning for this trip, we thought about getting some bikes because we both like to bike, and it keeps us healthy, and it's good for us, all the reasons why. And I looked into, what do people ride? Mountain bike. Ooh, we're gonna get a mountain bike. Do you know how much a mountain bike is? $6,000. Yeah, yeah, and you can pick it up with one finger and everything. It bounces and it rides nice, and it's just about drives itself, kind of like new vehicles. But I ain't paying $6,000 for you know what I mean? So I'm like, where do we go? And it just so happened one day, Kathy and I walked into a store, and something more modest in our price range. It was like, wait, 10% of that kind of thing. Got ourselves two matching bikes, and my bike is black because I like black. And my bike has two mirrors on it that I can see behind me because I drove big vehicles and I like mirrors. And my black bike has fenders on it because when I drive in the water, I don't want to get sprayed. And my bike has little racks on the back and two little pouches on it, and I guess they're called side bags. And I have a bell, and I have a light on the front. And no, I don't have any tassels. No, I might get some tassels or a horn. We're going to put a speedometer on one. And these are little things that are unique identifiers to the bicycle. You see, everybody out there, you're a human being. But then you have the unique identifiers that make you you, or that makes my bike my bike. And so when I drive my bike with my helmet and whatever else little identifiers that I have, or glasses or gloves, or all of those things create the identity of this guy, John, male on a black bike with fenders and a bell going down the road. And all of those contextually put together would be an image. You see, who am I? Are you shaped by what others say? And this is something that happened to me when it comes to culture. I'll try to talk more about that than psychology. One time, Trevor and the Broken Arrow drum group, and there were several others there. They were introducing me, and they welcomed me to drumming. And this was before we met Kathy's mom and dad, so it's about 5 years ago. And Trevor came to my home, to my yard, brought the drum, and they set it up, and he welcomed me to join in. I'm a white guy, bass player, like drums, pick up two sticks. Trevor looks at me like, John, why don't you go in the bush and pick up a rock? Go find a rock. I got a rock. See, it's a multi-layered rock. Still picking up rocks. But really what Trevor was saying to me is slow down, watch, pay attention, get grounded, get your mind off of this and try to feel your heart. You know, it wasn't until 5 years later that I was speaking with an elder about drumming. I forget who exactly it was, but I was talking to someone about drumming, and I have been drumming for 5 years. Welcomed to. I'm not First Nation. My wife is. I'm welcomed as a guest because of their kindness. And I sit at the drum and I drum, and then I found out that when men sit around a drum, the ceremony, the tradition, the practice, the symbolism, the identity of it is literally their heartbeats resonate to that beat of the drum. Wow, every guy's heart will actually synchronize with the beat of the drum. And I thought, wow, so it gets into more of an understanding. Culture is language, culture is festival, culture is ritual, the rites of passage. Cultural ceremonies, culture is holidays, culture is food, culture is architecture and fashion. It's craft. It's also the socioeconomic. It's lifestyle. Culture is beliefs. Culture is knowledge. Culture is art, music, awards, honor, symbol, and it's the multiplicity of all those things come together with the big 8 when it comes to identity, your cultural identity, age, ability, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, in other words, are you poor, are you rich, and religion. Those 8 predominant factors and those other 18 kind of categories figure out who you are from the sense of what do you believe about yourself. Kathy found out something. Wow, I'm First Nation. And she began the process of reclaiming. What is it that you have lost? And why do you want to get that back? And when you get that back, what will that do for your life and what will that look like? One of my favorite questions I ask to clients when they meet with me is this question. I love it. If I could give you anything, to make your world perfect and wonderful and all the rest, what would it be? And a lot of people say money, $1 million. And so, okay, if I was to grant you the million, 10 million, billion, I don't care. Here's the money, all the money in the world you want, pieces of paper with signatures on it from the government. And you can take those with you and do whatever you want. And I say, then after you've traveled the travels and bought the homes and the cars and the entertainment and whatever, then what would you do? Who would you be? And what would you do with that? In other words, who I am will naturally just radiate. Who I am will naturally radiate if I allow it. You see, culture was the principles and properties and categories and activities passed down by generations that were used to identify them as individualities. And so when we started to study Ojibwe culture and language, and I can say Kweyani, John Nadishnikos. Hi, my name is John. Campbell River Nadonjaba. And I'm not taking something from a privileged point of view and taking a minoritized, a marginalized culture and using it for my benefit. No, I sincerely want to learn how to communicate the language of that culture. And you see, what I naturally do, even when I'm by myself and alone, who I am, I will want to, when we are in this trailer by ourselves and no one else is around and Kathy's not feeling good, she still wants to read and know her culture. And she wants to discover and understand, and she wants to see and experience and feel and touch and even taste. Going to a powwow and I can smell some of the cuisine that's there. And, I've had lots of those experiences, but also I've noticed at times I've gone to powwows. I can sadly report one time Kathy and I attended a powwow and there was so much cultural appropriation happening that we really had to leave. And that's okay. That's not a judgment. It sounds like one, but it's merely identifying what is healthy and what is not healthy for me as an individual. Because who I am is not, I don't want to disrespect. And you see, if you value something, something is really important to you, and then you will take time to take care of it because it's valuable. I had asked people, what's valuable to your phone or whatever. I really enjoyed the previous talk. Thank you very much, Bailey, I believe. Sorry if I got that wrong. And how some people get quite attached to their electronics. I said, well, let's say I left that electronic outside in the rain and it started to rain really hard. Would you go get it? And go, yeah, go get it. Why? Because it's valuable. Will you go pick up your laundry? No. Why? Because it's not valuable. And you see, when we start looking at who we are and why these motivating factors are inside of us, that's the preliminary, that's the place, that's the precipice when you need to be at in reclaiming culture. We don't rush ahead and buy things. And I remember 6 years ago, I wanted to go get a big drum and just hang it on the wall as decoration. And then I discovered what the drum is, and I wanted to go buy an eagle feather and have one. And then I discovered really what it is and what it meant. And, just this past September, oh no, it was still August. Yeah, it was August 25th, 26th. I was in Morrison. It was Kathy's hometown. And I was out with her father and was talking to him about the eagle. A lot of eagles around, and Stash is just, he's an eagle feather finder. They come to him, Creator sends them to him. And I said, about finding an eagle feather. I stepped out of the truck and one was there for me. It made me think of somebody. And I'm not First Nation, so it came to me for the purpose of gift. So see, I understand that and I respect it. And you see, respect in the place of value. That's how you reclaim. That's how you reclaim the authenticity. You reclaim the purpose. You reclaim the identity of that culture, not my. I can paint and wax eloquent, but that's not what the culture is. You see, I discovered that I was raised dichotomously. Here's some more psychology for you. You see, we are in a domestic society, and we call our society a democratic hierarchy market culture. There you go. You see, there are four main categories when it comes to culture. There is what we call democracy, there is clan, there is market, and there is hierarchical. So, if you are trained, raised, identified, and know the English language, and someone starts talking to you in another language you don't understand. If you are born and raised and trained in a psychological, sociological perspective called democratic hierarchy with a market culture, which is market is competitive, market is get down to business and get your goals, suck it down, get it done, make some money, get a job, put everybody in the same school. That's hierarchy. Train everybody to the same, go get the same job. That's this culture. That is the culture that came out. That's the colonial way. It is. There she be. Get mad at it, don't like it, but that's the way a lot of people are. And we have to respect that and value each other. I wrote down a quote the other day that just impressed my heart. You see, oppression and discrimination and bias cannot be solved on their issue alone. The priority of diversity is this: the more we take the time to get to know and understand people from all walks of life and stop trying to fit ourselves and others into one category or another, the better off we would be as a society. We stop telling other people what to do and just be ourselves. If we reclaim who we are, and that naturally flows from whom we are. I know why people get all excited when Kathy begins to speak. And I've marveled watching her share her heart. Why? Because it's authentic, it's real, it's on a level beyond words. You feel her energy when she speaks of her culture, and you see the love and the passion to really not come at it with a hierarchical point of view, because we discovered that there was a whole culture here before, and they weren't the democratic hierarchical market culture society. No, they were adhocracy. Adhocracy. Write that down and research it. ADHOCRACY. Autocracy. And what that means is creative, flexible. Democracy, right? Democratic, political, structured. Adhocracy is creative, flexible, free. Kathy read me some stories about how when the children were born in First Nation cultures and how they would, the children would be surrounded by the mothers, the grandmothers and the mothers, and how they had a matriarchal, society, not patriarchal. Men, women cared and helped develop children for whom they were. They identified that, and they raised them in an adhocracy. And you see, we're dichotomous: black, white, right, wrong, good, bad, success, failure. Two distinct. You're a good employee or you're a bad employee. You're a good boy or you're a bad boy. That is the democratic, hierarchical, market, dichotomous way. And to now you come and sit in someone's office or speak with someone and you say, hi, how do I reclaim my culture? Well, maybe you got to let go of some stuff. If we take our own ideology into reclaiming culture, then really what we're doing is we're making stew. It ends up to be a little messy. Seek first to understand. Black and white gives you perspective. Color, like red, yellow, and blue mixed together, three-dimensional, virtual reality, and then there is reality. It is a process, not an event. That day on August 16th, 2016, August 6th, 2016, we identified something, we discovered, we learned about something that was taken. And that process continues this day and continues for on and ever in Kathy's life. And reclaiming is to me about authenticity. It's about not digging into the past and trying to find out who you are because of the past. Yes, your past can very well shape and mold and identify whom you are. Absolutely. Reclaim that. But ask yourself some questions. Am I respecting and valuing whom I am? Like my bicycle. You know, I could have went out and just got a $6,000 bike and threw that on my line of credit and figured out how to pay for it over the next 7 years and show everybody, ooh, look at that guy. Ooh, look at him bouncing around. You see, the motive matters. If I plan, if I prepare, if I practice, and then of course ponder. Reclaiming culture to me was like reclaiming how to ride a bike. Of course I jumped back on and I started pedaling and I learned it because I had previous experience. What if you never did? You know, I had the love of riding a bike, but what if that was taken from me and I never ever had that? And then all of a sudden one day someone plopped me on the bike. Something inside of me would start to feel. Emotions are felt through an experience. Thoughts, emotions, whom I am, what I think about that, and how I behave, how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And really, it's about self-evaluation. You know, what's really cool is that here in the BC campsite, I'll tell you a little bit about BC, how are getting here, and some of that when it comes to reclaiming. You know, people have asked, why? What are you guys doing? We are both trying to reclaim whom we are. You know, I'm here in BC. I'm completing my master's of counseling psychology. It's a dream of mine. I wanted to go back to school to learn, to be up to date, to be efficient. And you know, have I ever been surprised at what this course is teaching me about myself and my biases and my preconceived notions and my discriminations and my democratic ways and my binary dichotomous evaluation of things. In other words, I'm learning to be more unbiased. I'm learning to be more authentic. I'm learning more to seek first, to experience, to, you know, if you want to know what it's like to drive across the prairies, I could talk about it all day, but get in a car and drive a truck and a trailer with the wind blowing like it was. And let me tell you, experience the journey of practicing and practicing. I love Brene Brown. Brene Brown's book called Daring Greatly. It was a part of the inspiration why I wanted to step out and be myself, whom I am. And in it, she said, you know, everybody wants to be that professional dancer. Everybody wants to be that You know, we want to be famous and known and seen, and of course we want to stand out. It's kind of natural and normal within us. But you know, if we want all of that, are we willing to do the work? A tree outside of my window, Douglas fir, over 300 years old, sitting right there. Can you see it behind me? You know, it's been there a long time. But you see, when that tree was planted, if someone would have confiscated it, took that little tree and put it out in the water, it's still a Douglas fir, but it wasn't where it was meant to be. And you can put plants in water; they'll survive. They will, but maybe not as well, and maybe not as potential could have made it. And see, reclaiming culture has that element in it as well too. You're not getting back; you're going to. You're being where you're supposed to. You're growing the process. You know, Kathy jokes sometimes, I'm just 5. And yes, she spent 5 years learning her culture, so she's just 5. And that's a great respectful way to look at it. And when people talk about, you know, what is truth and how do we know, and you know, we're always challenged about why people are doing what they're doing and what is their motive and is it true, you know? And we question people's behaviors and we wonder why, what's their motive, etc. You know, I've gone to events and you know, things happen where the organizer maybe wants to have it happen this way, and then someone else thinks it should be this way, and then what about that way? And it you know, it gets to be a little chaotic. You've been to those events. And it becomes about personalities, and it becomes about social positioning, and it becomes about our own self. It becomes quite narcissistic, and that's not reclaiming anything. That's destructive. And it's kind of like asking yourself this: if I'm working really hard at building a house, and someone comes by and says that's a really messy looking fort, and I'm offended, and I turn around and I look, and it's like I don't have any understanding of building, and I'm not using the proper materials, and I'm just throwing them up how I think. That's, you know, that's how messes are made. And there's a lot of lateral violence between cultures right now, how things could, should, and would, and might not be. And it breaks my heart that if we don't know who we are, how do you feel when you don't know something? If you don't know how to ride a bike, and I plop you on it, you fall over. And then you're going to say to me, I don't like it because I hurt or banged. But you know, if you took your time to journey that experience, then you could make an informed decision on your personal preference and what you want and yourself, what things you want to add to it. Reclaiming needs to begin with understanding, an authentic understanding of the journey inward. You can't go on the journey outward further than you've gone on the journey inward, and seeing self and understanding, what am I afraid of? False evidence appearing real. Fear. I have it. Sure do. I sure do when I open up a class and it says that I'm going to be studying the biopsychosocial aspects of biochemical, neurological, I don't even know what I just said. Of course I fear. But when I break it down and I find out that we're going to study about how people act, think, and feel, and how that affects each other. And they just use bigger words. And to me, that's kind of what it is. It's about keeping it simple. Keeping it simple. And just approaching your reclaiming. I don't need to rush the process for the police to return my car. I need to respect and value what they need to do to get it back to me. And I love that about Kathy. And there are times that she wants to get things a little quicker, but I always see the appropriate behavior come. You see, truth, my truth. When I think of truth, I take the acronym TRUTH and I write it down and I go, truth, T, can I trust this? Do I trust this? R, is it reasonable? Have I thought through this? Have I considered it? Understandable. Is this that's being presented to me, does it make sense? And can I think about it? Is it reasonable? Then the T, trust, reasonable, understandable. T, transforming and revealing. You see, it's kind of like when someone says the truth is you have a mold problem in your body, John, and if you would do this, then you're going to feel better. And anyone that knows me knows I lost 100 pounds in the last 8 months. Why? Because I was not healthy. And when I found out the truth, I could trust it. It was reasonable. I thought about it. It was understandable, and it was very transforming. And guess what the H stands for? Healthy, holistic. You know, when people grab onto truth, and they die for truth, people die for truths, but it's not healthy, nor is it holistic. And if we look at just ourselves and we don't consider the interaction of others, then I wonder, is that truth? Is that truly what your culture was intending? I listened sadly on the news this morning here in BC that there was a teacher, and that teacher was presenting cultural diversity and understanding how people look at cultures differently and how people have biases. And he presented a cartoon of Muhammad, and then later on a student decapitated him out of his religious right. Of course that's a hate crime. Of course that's terrorism. Of course that's not truth. How can that be truth? How can truth destroy? That's just my perspective. That's my truth. And so if you want to reclaim something, you want to look at the language and festivals and rituals and ceremonies and ask yourself, is this me? Is this who I'm meant to be? And if there's this resounding call, you know, if you stood up a whole bunch of people out in front and you said to me, out of all those young people standing out there, there's only 3 in there that are yours, my daughters, I would have no problem rummaging through right over to them and wrapping my arms around them and reclaiming them from the mixture of myriads of people that could be there, because I identify with it. They're mine. That's the nature that I hope that you're hearing my heart today when it comes to reclaiming, because I see people just stampeding over, like literally just running over each other to jockey in position. And I got the privilege not too long ago to go on a drive with my brother Trevor, and we went to Ottawa and picked up a few things, and then went for a long drive to, I think it was Temiskaming, I don't know, it was great, and then dropped some stuff off and then went back. So I don't know, about 24 hours together, and 12 driving and hanging out and sharing environment with each other, and how that environment created some different thoughts and feelings and change. You know, it was relational, it was personal, it was intimate. And in those times of sharing, you know, the truth that came from the vulnerability and honesty that came from that man's heart, I have deep respect for that, of his love to see unities and to see people come together. And then there was an event that took place where misinformation was given to the community, and of course how someone else will assume and make assumptions and jump to conclusions, and it's not truth. So I guess when it comes to reclaiming, that we need to understand definitions. You know, we need to understand nature and the nature of it. Get outside, you know. It's the same thing with your culture. Get into it, experience it, practice it. Don't do it, practice it daily. Not because you have to. I remember that when I was a kid and going to church. I have to go to church. Every morning I get up and I just enjoy the process of meeting with my Creator. And no one has to ask me or force me. It's my culture. I'm eclectic. I know who I am. I love my practice and what I incorporate in it. And I love the fact that I can sit with other cultures and really, really enjoy the beauty of what they are and who they are and the authenticity, because I can feel it. And I got on my bike and I drove down a trail and I stopped at a coffee shop, and it was called Fog Duggars. And it's this little rickety old building on the side of the Georgian Strait here in BC, overlooking the mountains in the background. It's just exquisite. It's beautiful, but rugged, and you know, the sign is worn, and it's even the word on there is just Doug Foggers or Doug Foggers or something like that, and the paint isn't well, and the parking lot isn't clean. The furniture doesn't match, you know. And all of those, you know, when it comes to the democratic hierarchical market culture that I have in my stupid head. But then I walked over and Kim was the owner, and she made me a lovely coffee and talked about how she started that establishment from a 9-year-old girl's dream, and she doesn't see herself as the owner, but the one who gets to share it with the community. So guess where I go for my coffee? Yeah, who I am emulates. You can say what you know, you can talk about and do, but you reproduce who you are. Because people don't remember what you say, people don't remember what you do, but they sure remember how you made them feel. Maya Angelou, one of my favorite quotes. And if you know me, you know that I love to read, and I got into James Allen. And James Allen wrote a book, As a Man Thinketh, back in 1906 or something like that. And it's very, very popular. It's it's considered a classic. You can get it online. As a Man Thinketh. It's free, and in it he begins with saying this: "Man is mind, and mind is master power. It molds and it makes. And man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought and shapes what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys and 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass, for life is but a looking glass." How you think about reclaiming your culture can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I could just imagine, you know, if I was to see my daughters in a crowd, and I was to pull and push and shake and grab and yank what's rightfully mine. Or I would consider the other parents that were in there reclaiming theirs too. And that we could somehow, with unity and harmony. Oh, of course, I'm the eternal optimist. I say that to people all the time who chat with me. You know, I'm eternally optimistic. Well, why not? You don't have to be mean. It's not a requirement. No one comes up and says, hey, by the way, in this current situation that's happening, based on the experience and everything, I suggest that you be mean and an asshole right now. There's more options to your behavior that's at your capacity and your choosing. They just don't feel comfortable because you're used to the other ones. Reclaiming culture is looking and analyzing ourselves. Chewing that one for a while. Just like color and this beautiful paintings and portraits that we have, they're expressions. And culture is a unique and particular expression of a beautiful person and people and community and culture. And that we are going to step in there and evaluate our identity, where we fit. And so I fit in a master's program in BC in a trailer, Yorkville University. I fit, that just fits me. And my black bike with its fenders and bell, it fits me. And my glasses and my books, and it fits me. It's who I am. And if you hung out with me, you would notice that. It's just relaxed, comfortable, confident. It took a lot of time. It took me 11 years from my huge transition in life and identity crisis. It took me 11 years to figure out who I am. I'm still discovering more and more of the depths and the wonders of this unique person called John. I found out that my ancestors come from Pomerania, on the shores of the Baltic Sea. That was a place between Germany and Poland. It's no longer that. It's been assimilated into. And I guess so my family then was assimilated into Germany. So poor, had nothing, just basically existed, and were offered land over in Canada back in 17 whatever. So yeah, my great whatever I'm the 7th generation of that man that came over and was given a piece of land and told by the settlers, here, make money, send us taxes. But that's basically slavery kind of thing, told what to do. And as I started to discover that and learn about my culture and my heritage and my past, and I thought, that's not who I am. I really don't think that that's who my great-great-great-great-grandfather was, Frederick von Karl Pfaffenhauer, something like that, P-F-A-N-N-H. You know, it literally means panwhacker, to form with force, Pfaffenhauer. You know, I really think that my 8th, 9th, 10th generation back might have had a different culture that was taken, because I love knowledge, and I love people. I love kindness. I love to understand the uniqueness of humans and see how we collage and kaleidoscope together the myriad of unique expressions that can be us. And that's how I believe you reclaim the culture. And so I've been looking at a screen by myself for the last 45 minutes. I hope there's somebody there. But, you know, reclaiming culture. Look at the definitions. Look at the very nature of whom you are. Practice with curiosity. Oh, I see Dorian. Hi.
I wasn't coming in to cut you off. You just said, like, you've been looking at yourself for 45 minutes. So do you have more to do?
I can keep rambling on, Dorian, for a while. This is a great, a great important truth that we as individuals, and I'll say this, we personify something as a quest. You know, reclaiming our culture becomes this external thing that we're hungering and longing for, as if we're somehow lacking. I'm reclaiming my culture because I need to. I'm not myself without it. I'm like, you just don't know who you are right now. You know, and that's the danger, Dorian. Is when people step into need, and they're like, oh, I'm not, and I'm void, and I can't, and I don't, and I won't, and I shouldn't, and I couldn't, and this and void, and then they, oh, my great grandfather was Pomeranian. I guess I'll get one of those dogs, and I just start appropriating, confiscating, taking, applying.
I'm just going to let John continue here.
Oh, you're doing great. You can stay in there. Don't worry. But, I am wrapping up. I mean, I can just ramble on, guys. But, you know, my heart just says motive, you know, and principle and authenticity and truth. Do your research. My goodness, we're learning so much about Kathy's background. We're learning about, you know, she had a murdered and missing Indigenous woman aunt. And it's like, wow, we didn't know that. And an uncle that mysteriously was murdered in Thunder Bay, you know, and we're looking at not the why, the how. How did that baby in that crib that day take that journey and that experience to that point where they were murdered simply because of whom they were perceived to be? That's a pretty deep question. And so reclaiming culture is something I wish that everybody would do. The authenticity of something that's healthy and holistic and transforming. And so I'll wrap up with that. I mean, let's be autonomy, which is unity. Let's be adhocracy, which is free. And let us be authentic. And most importantly, be yourself today. And if I've helped or touched your heart in any way at all, first of all, thank you, Dorian, for the opportunity, and Kathy sends her love to everybody that hears this, and her condolences. She's not feeling well. And there's been a lot of changes in her health with altitude and stuff. And I got to see somebody just on the 15th, and went very, very well. And so the improvements are there. It's just, it's been a journey, not an event. And we're here until mid-April, and then I'll take my studies to Big Grassy First Nation, Morrison, Ontario. We're going to stay with Kathy's mom and dad there for the next 6 months while I do some work with Treaty 3, which is sort of the governance or I mean, they have their own government. So Treaty 3 is an area with many different reserves, and I'm just learning. You know, I'm observing, I'm learning, I'm immersing myself. I'm trying to discover, you know, the how, and to see that person, that what has been taken, and when you can see what's missing, sometimes it's a little easier to find what fills that. And so that's our quest for the next. And then when I'm done, I'm obviously, you know, Kathy's heritage quest. She's looking into and has discovered some local people in political First Nation places. She met the I wish she was here to tell me. I'm sorry. I know it was the chief of the Haida. Anyways, one of the reserves close by in Comox Valley, and just so happened to meet somebody here in the RV park we're into, and get a chance to make some connections. And so it's interesting how it's happening. And then we have planned to go to in the next week to a place called Quadra Island, which is out in the Georgia Strait, that has a significant museum and cultural sort of, I want to say, preserve or information. I love museums and history and stuff, so we're doing some of that too, and the books and the study and the just being me. So thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to share with you today, and reach out to us if you want. You can find Kathy on Facebook. I'm not. I maintain some therapeutic distance, I guess you call it. But for those of you who know me personally, you know how to get a hold of me. So lots of love and joy and wellness to everybody today. Wellness, yeah, authenticity leads to a wellness. Amen.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming to do the presentation today.
Hope you enjoyed the ramble, and thank you so much, Dorian, for what you are doing and giving the opportunity, again, creating an environment where people can come together and in a different way. And change the way you look at things, means you look at change.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take our lunch break now. We're going to be on lunch until 1 o'clock. And then at 1 o'clock, we have Jackie Gooderman from Gooder Fit, who is going to be doing her workshop. So we'll see you all in 1 hour.
Thanks, guys. Blessings.